Greetings, everyone. DFG at Gideon's Flight. Hey, guys. In reflection, as you've seen me do before and many times, I just want to take a moment and talk a little bit about the protests and just protest, unjust protest. I hear a lot of voices out in the land now saying that there are other ways to petition the government other than protesting. And I think in their instance, in a roundabout kind of way, I guess they're saying a protest without any type of violence, a non-violent protest. And although I hear what they're saying, I don't quite necessarily agree with them, because when you start looking at the nature of a protest that has no teeth, it's like a toothless lion. Who's afraid of a toothless lion? I mean, yeah, the lion comes up and people look at the lion and everyone is a little bit intimidated because it's a lion. But when that lion opens its mouth to roar and there are no teeth, it's not going to be very long before they're going to treat that lion as though it's a pet. And they're not going to take that lion roar very serious any longer after that. So when you're looking at protests, or when you ask the people to protest, but while they're protesting, not to use any aggression, and for them to be passive and to be peaceful and to be tolerable, then you're asking way more than you should ask of people who feel that the behavior of the system that is oppressing them, you follow me? You're asking way too much of them to be tolerant of that, or to be submissive to that, or to be non-confrontational with that. And just to give you something to compare and contrast, it's being in a situation where someone is being very hostile and aggressive towards you. For you to just submit to that and to accept that and to tolerate that, it signals that individual or the aggressor towards you that there is no need to change their behavior, because at the end of the day, you're not going to do anything that's going to forcefully, cause them to change their actions towards you. And I just want you to take a moment and think about that. Now, does that mean advocating, looting stores and all of that? Of course it does not. And you've heard me say in a previous video, you follow me, that if whites are going to be a part of any kind of protest where we're involved, then they need to use their numbers, their political influence, their numbers, their vote. So they're telling us to go out and vote for change. Why don't Obama, I'm just going to throw his name in there, why don't Obama go and tell them to go out and vote for change? Why don't Obama tell them to go out and petition the government to bring about change as it relates to the treatment of so-called, blacks here in America? But no, he'd rather just run some type of rhetoric, some type of manipulation, some type of, con game, and tell you, oh, you can change it by just voting. Just go vote. That's if you really want to protest, then show up at the polls. I think we made it clear to this administration, and we made it clear to all, government entities, especially at the executive level of government, no reparations, no vote. We didn't forget. Of course, you thought we did. But we're not going to forget. And we're not showing up at your voting polls unless there's something justice or something just for us. Yes, just for us. And we call that reparations. Remember when we were asking about reparations? Told us the country was broke. It had no money. What money? How are we going to pay it? Bernie Sanders, how can we pay it? It's too complicated. We don't have the money to do it. But as soon as the economy started to affect whites, no disrespect to any white listeners, but as soon as the economy started to hit whites in their ass, all of a sudden they came up with trillions of dollars and considering trillions and more dollars to come up with, to make sure that they don't feel any pain. But our protest is truly about real pain. Their pain is that they don't want to lose their nice homes and their yachts, you follow me, and their cars and their life of luxury, their life of leisure that many of them have. That's pain to them. But our pain is real pain. Our pain is a soul pain, a pain that goes deep down inside of us, that has gone on for generation after generation after generation, without any type of not only redressing of our issues. First Amendment right, by the way, is the right to redress grievances with the government. And you tell us to go and vote, and that's how we're going to get the government to redress. If voting was the difference maker as it relates to how we support and how we vote and how we fought to vote in the 60s. Remember that, guys, the 70s? And what do we have to show for that? We're still getting people, stepping on or bending, putting knees on the necks of our men, shooting our women, defenseless women, just shooting them down like animals, shooting our men jogging and running up and down just because they're jogging through a neighborhood because they thought they had committed a crime that had never existed. And you know all the other stories. And this video is not to tell you about all the stories of all of the victims of a racist society that refuses to change its actions and its behavior towards people of color, Hebrew Israelites. Let me be clear who I'm talking to, the so-called black man, the so-called African-American man. A nation that refuses to redress his concerns, her concerns. A nation that time after time after time have exploited us for what they wanted, and then when they got what they wanted from us, they treated us like a whore. Like one of their whores. You fulfill my need. I've given you a little something. Now go home so I can go back to my family and to my wife. Because I owe you nothing but just a couple of dollars I left on the counter for you. That's how America has treated its sons and daughters who are so-called African-American, Negroes, black, or colored people. We know we're the Israelites. We know that we're the Hebrews. But when we ask for redress, that's what we got. And then when we finally get to a point where we start to take the same action that Yeshua took, to break up the monopoly, to break up the liars and the cheaters and the thieves. The same action Yeshua took. Yeshua, our forefather, and for you so-called Christians, Yeshua, you call Jesus in the Bible. Yes, he protested too, by the way. And guess what else? He protested violently. He was not a non-violent protester. Okay, I get it. You're like, you don't know what you're talking about. I'll be damned. Yes, he was. Okay. Let me give you the book. Let me give you what is written about Yeshua in the book. This is Matthew, the book of Matthew, chapter 21, verse 12. It says, and Yeshua entered the temple and courts and drove out. You know what driving out means? Forcing out. Drove out all who were buying and selling there. And he overturned the tables of the money changers and the benches of those selling doves. It is written, he said to them, my house shall be called a house of prayer, but you have made it a den of thieves. And you know what? And this is what I call the whitewashed version of what actually happened. Because if you go to the original King James or the Decipher, they're gonna say he took a whip and he whipped their asses out of there. He whipped them out. He turned over the tables. He kicked over the tables. He tore the place up. That sounds like a peaceful protest to you? I know some of you, well, because they were in the temple. It doesn't matter the reason why. What matters is that it was not right. It was unrighteous, and he took a violent approach to correct it, to redress it, to fix it. So no, he was not non-violent. You can go back and you can read Matthew 21:12 any kind of way you want to read it, and you're never going to be able to justify that he was non-violent. You're never going to be able to sell the narrative that he was non-violent. He was just the opposite. And not only was he, his disciples or his followers, they were violent as well in protest. Remember when the man came to when they came to arrest Yeshua, after Judas, the backstabber, the underminer, the sabotager, like many other Hebrew Israelites are doing right now with us, going to these places, looting these places, and putting all this negative stench on us, backstabbing, undermining the movement, undermining the protest. Remember Judas, who did the same thing to Yeshua? And remember when they came to grab Yeshua, to arrest Yeshua? What did Peter do? Was he nonviolent? What did he do? Did he just say, oh, go along peacefully, Elohim, you knew this day was coming because you forewarned us that it was coming. So, now you got to model the behavior. Now you got to show us what peaceful resistance looks like. You know what I'm saying? You got to set the example for all of us to follow. That what Peter said? No, that's not what Peter said. The scripture tells us that the writer tells us that Peter pulled out his sword and he chopped the man violently across the head. Could have killed the man, chopped his ear off. That sounds like a nonviolent protest to you? And these are men who walked alongside of Yeshua. Matter of fact, Peter, the foundation of the message of Yah to bring back the lost sheep of Israel, was left to Peter's, attention. It was left to Peter's care. He told Peter, you asked me, say, Peter, do you love me? He said, yes, I love you. He said, feed my sheep. Peter, do you love me? He said, yes, I love you. He said, again, feed my sheep. He said, Peter, do you love me? And then Peter said, why you keep asking me this? He said, again, feed my sheep. And then he goes on to tell Peter, when he asked Peter, who am I? He said, thou art Elohim, the son of Yahweh. He said, Peter, flesh and blood did not reveal this to you. But on this particular revelation, Peter, the kingdom of Yah will be built on. The same Peter who was a violent protester. And he got that from the same Yeshua who absolutely used aggression to destroy and to damage and to remove things that he felt was unjust in a place that he felt justice should have existed. So when you talk about protesting with us, it's in our nature, but we don't need traitors inside of our protest. We don't need protests. We don't need, what is the group? Y'all know who I'm talking about. Even Trump down behind Antifa. We don't need Antifa. We don't need white agitators, leading the way for us. We don't need you to do anything but as we asked you before. Go and petition your Congress people, your legislators, and have them change the law. Just like Rudy Giuliani told one of the Congress people, one of the reporters early last year, when Trump was being, when they were manipulating the investigation around Trump and not sharing the information that Congress wanted. And he told them, look, we're just following the law. And if you don't like the law, this is what Giuliani told the media guy, the journalist. He said, if you don't like the law, then go change the law. That's what he said. He told the guy, if you don't like the law, go change the law. So laws can be changed. The question is, if they want to change the law, do the people care enough for the law to be changed as it relates to the treatment of so-called African Americans here in America? Because if they truly wanted these laws, if they truly wanted the behavior of the aggression and the violence and the disrespect that's perpetuated on us, then they would go and they would use their First Amendment right and they would protest against the government. They would redress the government for their grievances as with the treatment of the so-called Negro here on Turtle Island. We know they're Hebrew Israelites, but they haven't done that. They'd rather come out in the streets and give you some watered-down version of protest, some watered-down version of support, some toothless tiger, toothless lion protest. All talk, no action. That's what they want to do, to make their own consciences feel a little bit good about, well, you see, I was out there too. We didn't ask you to come out there. I don't remember anybody petitioning, whites to come out there and be a part of the protest with us. They just jumped in as they always do. So they can misdirect or direct or take control of any movement that we ever start, a real movement, a grassroots movement. They're very cunning that way. We better get some whites out here and get them in the middle of this so that we can manipulate this and guide this in the direction, because we don't want these folks to really show their power. So let's put some of our people in here. Let's infiltrate them and let's make this thing about Black Lives Matters and other issues. And by the time we finish with it, they won't even know why the hell they're out. Oh, I'm sorry. By the time we finish with their asses, they'll be out there breaking windows, stealing tennis shoes and televisions. At what point are we going to wake up, my people? We don't need them protesting with us in a manner of going out in front of the nation, in front of the world, standing as one united people. We need them, if they're going to help us, if they really truly wanted to help us, then we need them talking to their Congress people, talking to their senators. We need them talking to the executive branches of government. That's where we need them. Their mayors, their governors, and making it a crime to put your hands on a man or woman of color, black, Negro, Hebrew Israelite, to make it a crime to put your hands on us, a federal crime. In other words, we become a protected class just like the homosexuals and just like the Jews. Fake ones, but the Jews all the same, if they really wanted to help. But I don't think they want to help. And again, this is all diversionary tactics. And again, a lying, two-faced devil like Obama who has the audacity to come out there, if you want to bring about change, then let's do it this way. You know, your vote is your change. If you really would change, then you go out there and you vote, and that's how you get your change. You're a damn lie. We've been voting since the 14th Amendment, 1868, I want to say. And I did say 1868, not 1968. We've had the right to vote since 1868. And you tell me what that vote has given us. Absolutely nothing. Tokenism. And they used us to shift the tides to be the anomaly that gets them elected. You know what I'm saying? That swing vote, to give them that swing vote. They want our numbers because it gives them the numerical edge over their other, you know, white competitors. That's all you are. It's all we've ever been with our vote. You know, they need that extra 10 million or whatever number vote, because that gives them their you know, the number they need to win against their opponents. And once it's over with, they forget about you. They drop your ass again like a whore who's just been screwed by her so-called can't even think, what do you call a man who's sleeping around with whores and paying them for it? A trick? You know what I'm saying? Her customer, whatever. That's the way we're treated with our vote. So from this moment forward, protest, my people. Protest with knowledge, knowing who you are and why you're hated. You're hated because you're the people of Yah, and you're being destroyed because they don't want you to come together as one nation. And those who standing around the side saying that we love you and we on your guys' side, then go out there and prove it. Put your money where your wife. No, don't go out there. Go up there. Go to your state houses. Go to City Hall. Go to your legislative houses. Go to the White House and let your voice be heard. And you let them know clearly, if you don't make it of any violence against a man or woman of color, of so-called black, Negro, Hispanic, blacks too, if you don't make it a crime or a hate crime to put their hands on it, then you won't be seeing us. And we'll vote your ass out of office. And we'll get some people in there who will make it a hate crime when you put your hands on these people for no other reason other than the color of their skin. That's not hard to do. That just takes a little commitment, a little effort. When Yeshua saw the wickedness that was going on inside the temple, he didn't go look around and say, who's going to fix this? He went in there and he did something about it. He tossed them out of there. He turned over their tables. He broke their tables. And he took a whip and he drove them out like you're driving cattle. Kapow! 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 Almost sound like gunshots. Wink. But where there's resistance, there can be change. Where there is no resistance, you can expect one thing, and one thing for sure: nothing will change. The scripture tells us clearly, in the kingdom there was violence, and the violent, they took it by force. You take it, because they're not going to give it to you. And if they don't want to give it to you, then like Malcolm said, you do whatever you got to do to get it. Like he said, by any means necessary. That where I and Malcolm are in full unison. And again, looting, that's silliness. That's not silliness, that's criminal. Protesting, forcing these businesses out of your community that doesn't support the community, I'm in full agreement with that. Like whatever you got to do to force them out of there. You can ask them to leave, and if they don't leave, you can, you know, you can find other means to where they can't do business in your community. Because at the end of the day, what are they giving back? Jobs? They're not giving you jobs. And I'm coming to the end of this video. And I'm glad, thank you, Yah, for giving me that. How many of you guys are telling you they're burning down these businesses in our communities and that's taking jobs away from the people? First of all, they're not giving us jobs. You're in there working. That's called bartering. I give you labor, you give me pay for my labor. That's a fair deal. That's a fair trade of assets. So they're not giving you anything. Giving you something is mean you do nothing and they bring it to you and out of charity. That's when giving. You don't have to do anything to receive it. They're not giving us jobs, guys. We're making them billionaires, making multi-billions and billions of dollars for Walmart and Target and all the CVS and all the rest of these businesses in our community. Billions and billions of dollars. But they're little $9, $10, $7, $8 an hour. Not even enough, you know what I'm saying, to keep food on your table and pay your damn rent. So they're not giving you anything. That's a lie. That is a lie. And stop falling for that lie. You're working for that. You've earned the right to get whatever it's a trade-off. I give you potatoes, you give me watermelon. Golly, why I have to say water? I give you potatoes, you give me broccoli. That sounds a little bit better. Sorry, guys. All right? That's a trade-off. Vegetable for vegetables. But you're not working, they're not giving you something. You're laboring to get that. Right? You give them your time, your effort, your output, your knowledge. And they give you currency for that. So these companies in our communities do nothing. Where is the community center that they build or building? The playground, the park. How about low cost housing? Why can't Walmart, a company that's doing almost $600 billion a year, making billions in profitability, why don't they have low housing apartments in all these communities that they're reaping the benefits of the people who live in those communities? They'd rather tell you to go get on food stamps than to pay you a living wage. That's what Walmart's going to tell you. Same thing Target and the rest of them. So when they come at this foolishness about somehow or another they're doing something for you by being in your community, that's bullshit. And again, in addition to that, here's my second question. Why would you go vote when voting has showed you for almost now, almost like 170 years, give or take? 170 years of voting, and we're still getting shot down in the street, in our bedrooms. You know what I'm saying? Strangled out in public. After 170 years, soon to be 200 years, and nothing has changed since we've had the right to vote. Guys, this ain't about voting. This is about influencing. This is about resisting. This is about protesting. This is about reparations. Give us financial issues. You don't have to worry about us. You give us financial resources, we'll protect ourselves. We won't have to worry about it. We'll have our own police. We'll develop our own police department, our own fire departments, our own hospitals, our own schools. Sort of like we did in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s. That you conveniently do gentrification and redlining, redistricting, destroyed. You give us reparations, and we won't have to worry about your police departments. And again, this is not an anti-police statement. This is an anti-blue line statement. Just because you're a police officer doesn't mean you have to be in agreement with the wickedness of many of those officers. And many of you guys, you keep silent about it because of your blue line. So the joker asked me about the blue line. I'm gonna tell you something. There is, police, service, in my background, as well as military. So you don't have a right to tell me anything in regards to that unless you're a police officer. And if you're a police officer, then you're a coward if you go along with the wickedness of your fellow officers just because you're part of that club, because you made this secret oath for your brother, your blue line. Then you're a coward. Because I didn't stand with any of them when they did something wicked or unjust. I stood apart from them. I separated myself from them. And I held them accountable. In my presence, no crime allowed, no stealing, no robbing allowed, because that's exactly what was going on. You guys are not angels, and you know it. But neither is the fellow guy, your fellow citizens. I'm not making you to be the villain and them some angel, but you're no angels either. And you're asking to be held accountable. And if you won't speak out against your brother, then we need to speak out against all of you guys. You're guilty by association when you keep quiet. So I'll bring this back in. Target, Walmart, CVS, Walgreens, all of you exploiters of these poor communities, middle class communities. You're not giving any damn thing back, and you kept your mouth silent. You're still funding Trump, but you said not a damn thing in regards to when Trump said that they loot, that you shoot. Why didn't your chairman speak up? Why didn't your board members speak? Why did your stockholders speak up? Speak out against it? Why didn't your president speak up? Why didn't your damn general manager speak up and say something about it? You are quiet as a mouse pissing on cotton, as they say. And there lies the problem. And again, to my brothers and sisters, hold on to that vote. That vote probably is the most precious thing you have right now. Other than Yah, Spirit, your vote is the most precious thing that you have. And no, if they don't, address our grievances around reparations, don't go to no poll. You tell Obama to take his half and half ass and kiss your ass. Now how about that for some protests? After all, we're just following the example of Yeshua, right Christians. We want to be Christ-like, right? Well, he resisted. He turned over tables. He rebelled. He used violence. What you gonna do?